History Month. I call this meeting Wednesday, February 22nd, 2017, meeting of the Portland City Council to order. Carla, please call the roll.
Fritz.
Here.
Fish.
Here.
Saltzman.
Here.
Wheeler. Udaly.
Here. Okay, we're going to start with communications. Before we begin, I want to say a few words regarding council proceedings and maintaining decorum. The purpose of council meetings is to engage with and hear recommendations from the community on the public's business in order for us to hear from everyone and to give due consideration to matters before the council. We must all endeavor to preserve the order and decorum of these meetings. To make sure that the process is clear for everyone, both those here and those watching on their computers or TVs, I want to quickly review some public testimony guidelines. My hope is that these details help everyone to feel comfortable and included and also ensure that decorum is maintained. During the meeting, there are two opportunities for public participation. Communications, which is what we're about to do now, and communication items are an opportunity to briefly speak about any subject. These items must be scheduled in advance with the council clerk's office. First readings of reports, resolutions, and ordinances. Public testimony of these items must address the matter being considered at the time. Please state your name for the record, and we don't need your address. If you are a lobbyist, please disclose that information at the start of your testimony. If you are here representing an organization, please disclose that as well. Individuals have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated at the meeting. When you have 30 seconds left, you'll hear a beep and a yellow light will flash on the box before you. When your time is up, you'll hear 4 beeps and the red light will flash. I'll need you to conclude your testimony at that time. If you have handouts for us, please give them to the council clerk and she will distribute them to council members. Conduct that disrupts the meeting, for example, shouting or interrupting other people's testimonies or during council deliberations, will not be allowed. If that behavior is seen, this guidance serves as a warning that anyone disrupting this proceeding may be escorted from council chambers and excluded from City Hall. If folks would like to show your support or displeasure for a particular item or comment, please do so with a thumbs up or down so that no one is disrupted, but we can see your expression. Carla, please call up the first citizen for communications today.
Item 161, request of Justin Harn to address council regarding Introduce Open Signal's new brand and services provided to the community.
Madam President, can I suggest that we
call them
all
as a
5
group.
together?
Yeah.
I'm making the suggestion right now that we shut down City Council and have an emergency meeting for the resignation of Mayor Wheeler for his conduct in not dealing with the police and in hurting our citizens on the street.
Mimi, I need you to take a seat and stop disrupting the meeting.
I will not sit down. I want it known that we're asking for the resignation of the mayor right now.
You have one more chance to sit down. I'm calling a recess.
I will not sit down.
We're unable to conduct. session. Welcome back, everyone. We were just about to start the communications portion of council, and as we had suggested to Carla, since all of the people signed up for communications are testifying about Open Signal, we thought we could have them come up as a group, or at least in threes.
The first three, 161, request of Justin Harn to address council regarding introduce Open Signal's new brand and services provided to the community. 162, request of Becca Burrell to address council regarding Open Signal, a media arts center. And 163, request of Lisa Faust to address council regarding Open Signal's recent growth and history with Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission.
Carl, let's take a sec just to make sure the PowerPoint is up and running, because it's been okay.
They're professionals, Commissioner
Minor
Fish.
miracle.
Yeah. Name for the record is Justin Harn, Executive Director, Open Signal.
I'm Rebecca Burrell, the Director of Strategy and Development at Open Signal.
I'm Lisa Faust, Board President at Open Signal.
So thank you all for the opportunity to speak in front of you today. My name is Justin Harn, the Executive Director at Open Signal, formerly Portland Community Media. It's an honor and privilege to be here. And before I start, just want to take a moment and have everybody from Open Signal please stand up. I'd also like to acknowledge Janelle Neal. Janelle is a key part of the production crew at Open Signal, who works odd hours every week to broadcast meetings throughout the county to bring civic engagement and leadership to the broader Portland community. Can we switch to our cameras up into the booth for a moment?
Wow, that's a first.
Hi, Janelle.
There she is.
Thank you so much, Janelle, and to everyone for all of your hard work. While Open Signal is at every one of these council meetings, we're here today to show you our plans for the future and how much more we do outside the walls of City Hall. Open Signal builds upon the 35-year legacy of Portland Community Media, an organization that began with a vision of amplifying voices of those underrepresented in the mainstream media. While our building on MLK and our name may look different, our creativity, technology, and social engagement remain steadfast and stronger than ever. In my previous life at the Hollywood Theater, I saw the potential of organizations that have been dormant or struggling to find a second life, and about the power of nonprofits to engage and support communities. We are not just giving people cameras and equipment, we are now helping them tell their own story and broadcast those stories to 400,000 homes on 5 channels across the Portland metro area in English, Spanish, Russian, and Farsi. We partner with Wisdom of the Elders, Vanport Mosaic, Lentz Youth Initiative, Media Institute for Social Change, and Sista Sista, among others. We've also launched school programming with Open School North, an alternative middle school for students who have not been successful in the public school system. Each term we offer courses and $650,000 in media equipment and state-of-the-art production studios that we check out to the community free of charge. In the past year, we've tripled our number of workshops, added artist talks, and pop-up exhibitions, including a public art series with the Regional Arts and Culture Council. In the past fiscal year, we've generated over 35,000 hours of television programming with over 9,000 hours of brand new broadcast content. As we move forward, we would love to partner and find ways to work together. We welcome the opportunity to collaborate and help you realize your vision to move Portland forward. Thank you.
Good morning. My name, again, is Rebecca Burrell. I'm the Director of Strategy and Development for Open Signal. I'm here just to introduce to you today a brand new video that we've put together through the incredible generosity and collaboration of a local film studio called Juliet Zulu, located in Southeast Portland. This video features Open Signal staff, students, and community producers. It's about the power of providing Portlanders with unmitigated access to produce and broadcast their stories.
My voice.
My voice is quiet.
My voice has never been louder.
My voice is my own.
My voice comes from the life of a dreamer.
A writer.
An animal lover.
Illustrator.
A gamer.
A filmmaker.
A community organizer.
A cinematographer.
A dude.
An artist.
A photographer.
A gay man.
A father.
My voice comes from a life of an Oregonian.
And I speak for myself.
My voice
is learning how to rise above the chatter
of a crowded room.
To share my perspective.
And show the beauty that exists within my own community.
My voice
is learning
how to join a conversation
and listen.
To her.
And him.
And them.
My voice.
His voice.
Our voice.
Grew here.
It floated through an open door.
And soaked in the
salt of shared
wisdom.
My hands.
On the gears
of new possibilities.
Liberated my voice.
To build.
And guide.
The next one.
My voice.
Our voice.
Wants to say something beautiful.
It wants to ripple.
Inspire.
Inform.
Influence.
Celebrate. Organize.
Grow.
And nurture.
Together our voices
harmonize.
They have
been initiated
into the fold.
Finding footing and resilience.
Mentoring each other.
Introducing
new ideas.
Maintaining our position.
And driving the conversation.
Our
voices
are vital.
I built.
I found.
I discovered.
I refined.
I strengthened.
I scripted.
I learned.
I shouted.
I taught.
I shared.
I revealed.
I understood. I crafted.
I narrated. I trained.
I developed.
I mentored.
I grew.
I amplified my voice.
At Open Signal.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Lisa Faust, and I'm the board president of Open Signal. I've served on this board for over 3 years, primarily as board treasurer, and I can tell you today that when I started at Portland Community Media, I wasn't sure how long I would last. Now, under Justin's new leadership, I'm proud to say that we are stronger than we've ever been and more ready to realize a vision that's been brewing for a decade. In my job as Senior Vice President at Pacific Continental Bank, I help lead the growth of our nonprofit sector. With over 1,400 nonprofit clients, I develop products, services, and educational opportunities that help these organizations succeed. Many of these I have shared with Open Signal. When I was initially appointed to the board by Commissioner Saltzman, PCM was in a difficult financial position and in dire help. We embarked on a nationwide search for our former ED's replacement, and I told myself I would commit to just one more year through that search. We received an overwhelming response to our call for applications, but what Justin brought to the organization we felt would take PCM into a new era. He is a community builder, innovator, and able to invigorate spaces and programs that excite and enliven the community. With new initiatives like digital inclusion and facility renovations, we are embarking upon a vision that perhaps we've always had but have never fully realized. I'm proud to say after hard work and careful planning, we are in a stable and secure place with a strong path forward. We own our own building on Northeast MLK Boulevard. We have paid off all of our debts. Needless to say, there is a reason I'm still on the board. It's truly exciting to see the growth and direction of Open Signal. As the daughter of Cuban immigrants, I witnessed the barriers to advancement that some face in this country, now perhaps more than ever. We are living in a time when our administration has delegitimized the media and threatens the very constitutional provisions that gave individuals like my mother and father a path to citizenship. I'm proud to be part of Open Signal because our commitment to inclusion and equity and providing a safe space for all individuals in a time when our community needs it most. Being a part of this organization and seeing its growth over the past few years has been an incredibly rewarding and eye-opening experience. Giving a voice and amplifying that message continues to be our ultimate goal. And I do believe at Open Signal we finally have the power and opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Item 164 and 165, request of Laura Loforti to address council regarding partnership and growth opportunities with Open Signal in the community. 165, request of Kalima Abioto to address council regarding Open Signal.
Hello, Thank you for having us. I'm Laura Loforti. I'm the co-founder and co-director of Vanport Mosaic, and the city has been already incredibly generous and kind in supporting our effort. So I don't need to tell you what we do because you all look familiar with it, but I'm here to tell you how Open Signal Portland Community Media has been an incredible partner for us, and I would say that these stories wouldn't have been possible without this partnership. These stories are told by community members. They are captured and edited by community members, and as many of you seen during our screenings, they are cherished by hundreds of people. And since we started 3 years ago, we've been overwhelmed by the amount of people who want to tell the stories. These are stories that are kind of forgotten, left out by history books. And so we have a waiting list of people who want to share their experience in 1940s, 1950s in Vanport, and then in Albina, North Portland. And we've also been overwhelmed by people who want to help in this effort and being trained and help capturing these stories before we lose the opportunity. The narrators are in their 80s and 90s, so it's a pretty urgent effort. And it's been a struggle to meet this demand, which is a great problem to have for a community-based organization. So thanks to this partnership, we've been able to give access to anyone who wants to help, and they have access to incredible media equipment, and we are able to offer free workshops using the space. As we speak, actually, we took advantage of this little break to continue the planning on the next workshop in March. And among the many people who will be able to train, there is an 8-year-old boy who loves history and wants to interview someone who was his age when he was during the Vanport flood. There is also a lady who is going to interview her mom. She's 88, and she's been in Vanport, and she became then a community activist, and then went to found the Portland Black United Front. So these are the stories that need to be told. There's another initiative I'm excited to share that's been possible because of Open Signal. During this year's festival, at the end of May, we'll be able to have an Airstream with a recording studio inside and park it in front of different venues during the festival and invite people to share their experience in terms of home displacement and a sense of community. So these are the stories that need to be told, and we are able to do it thanks to Open Signal. And we need more of these opportunities, never like today, I would say. We need an opportunity to acknowledge everyone's history in this city. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hello, my name is Kalima Abioto. Thank you for your time today. I'm currently an artist in residence through Open Signal's Nightlight program in collaboration with the Regional Arts and Culture Council. So first of all, I've been deeply inspired and moved by the incredible people on staff and the growing community. Having been involved with Portland Community Media more than 6 years ago, I've seen its amazing transition. There is noticeably more community engagement and many more people reaching out. In a critical time in our society, it's important that we use the media to address cultural and social issues and bridge this growing divide. I see this happening daily at Open Signal. Through my grant and residency, I was able to attend a video art conference in Mali, West Africa last year. As filmmakers, there can be many barriers to entry, many of them being financial. The leadership team at the organization allowed me to pursue this grant and this program, providing an unprecedented opportunity, which continues to influence my artwork to this day. The film that I captured through using Open Signal equipment overseas infused the project I'm working on now through the residency. It's been a great blessing in my life. In light of the election, many people are looking for ways to utilize their skills to creatively address the problems we face in our society. Media and film is a natural organism for this kind of work. You need a sound engineer, you need a camera operator, you need a director. We all play a part in creating solutions. At a time when we are so insulated, bridging our divides to do something together, to do something greater, is how we will move forward. And we can with safe, supportive spaces like Open Signal. Anyone can have access to high-quality equipment and collaborate with people who know how to use it. Through film, Open Signal is a medium of social change. This Saturday, I would like to invite everyone to attend our inaugural open house at Open Signal from 4 to 10 p.m. I will be on site along with many other artists. There will be food and interactive art pieces from artists and students and community members. We would love to see everyone there. Thank you for your time and for your support.
So we will now move on to the consent agenda. Okay, I understand item 171 has been pulled, so we will move on to the next item. Oh, what?
Vote on the consent first.
Oh, we just do a blanket?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, well, so we're gonna take a vote.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. I feel like we've never made it. Okay. Now we're on to the regular agenda. Thanks, guys. Carla, please call out the next agenda item.
Item 166, Portland Streetcar Annual Report for 2016.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam President. If you don't mind, I'll take it away. Okay. This is the third annual report to the City Council on the status of the Portland streetcar operations. And my first as the Commissioner in charge of the Bureau of Transportation and ultimately the Portland streetcar. Ridership on the streetcar reached a great milestone of 50 million riders in 2016. With streetcar ridership among the top 10 transit lines in the region, comparing favorably with light rail and with frequent service buses. And this service is provided using 100% renewable energy through the city's purchase of renewable energy credits to meet our climate change goals. While we focus on transit operations 15 years after the streetcar line began, we continue to see the influence those fixed lines have had in changing our city and how people get around. Part of what we'll hear today relates the research linking the growth of streetcar ridership to the growth of housing units in the central city and how many of those are affordable units. So we're pleased to have with us today the Streetcar Board Chair, Jim Mark, Executive Director Dan Bauer, and Portland Transportation Division Manager, Catherine Levine. Take it away, Catherine.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this morning. We are here to update you on streetcar operations and provide a view towards the future as well. I'd like to take a few moments just to talk about the system as it is today and note that under our 2015 to 2020 strategic plan vision, streetcar exists to continue to encourage growth in the central city and provide convenient connections to destinations in the downtown. Currently, streetcar operates 7 days a week between 5:40 a.m. and nearly midnight on weekdays. Of the fleet of 17 vehicles, 14 are scheduled in regular weekday service. The folks who run streetcar are a partnership of 3 organizations, City of Portland, TriMet, and Portland Streetcar Inc. There are currently 24 full-time city employees in operations, maintenance, and enforcement, 68 TriMet employees, 56 operators, 12 mechanics and maintenance of way specialists, and there are employees from Portland Streetcar Inc., PSI, which leads the private sector engagement, strategic service planning, sponsorship development, as well as other service areas. Together, we have over 100 people from these organizations partnering to operate an urban railroad. Currently, the annual budget is over $13 million, of which 78% is for the cost of the people. These are the folks who work days, evenings, weekends, and holidays to help other people get where they need to be. Based on the data collected by PSI in 2015, we know a bit more about our passengers. We know that 66% of the trips originate at home, 25% of the riders have an income of $20,000 or less, 17% of the travelers are headed to a college class, and 38% of our riders come from households without cars. We also know that mobility ramps are crucial to providing service, with operators deploying mobility ramps approximately 30 times an hour. We look to fare revenue and sponsorship to offset operating costs, and in 2015, fare revenue provided 11% of the operating budget. In 2016, we saw a decrease in that to 7%, one relevant factor being the work on the Broadway Bridge to remove lead paint, which required a shutdown of streetcar for some weeks. In the long run, though, in the strategic plan, we pointed out that by 2020, our target is to have 20% of the fare revenue cover operating budget. Crucial to that is the implementation later this year of the regional e-fare HOP Fast Pass by TriMet. So streetcar participates along with C-Tran and TriMet, and that will result in revenue sharing, which will be to our benefit. Sponsorship has been increasing, with Portland Streetcar exceeding our initial contract target for the first year. Other streetcar agencies regularly contact PSI for guidance on how to develop and implement a sponsorship program. Today, you'll see cars sponsored by local organizations like Portland State University and Bridgeport, but you'll also see, after a lot of dogged and determined work on PSI's part, a car sponsored by Target as well. The chair of PSI, Jim Marks, is here, along with PSI's executive director, Dan Bauer, to present the annual report. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thanks for the opportunity to come before council again this year, and it's my privilege, and I've just enjoyed so much being chair of Portland Streetcar the last few years, and I'm celebrating my 10th year on the board, so we've seen a lot of progress over the years, and this first published annual report was obviously in response to questions that we had on what was going on in streetcar, and we're proud to present it. We made some copies. It is available online on our website, so if you have an opportunity, I think it leads to a lot of great information. It was a great year with all of our partners, working with the city, working with TriMet and others, and we continue to focus on streetcar being cost effective and looking at how our product is serving our customers, whether in the city and around as a intermodal connector. We spent a lot of time in 2016 working on the system to make it faster and more reliable. That included some permanent closures around the city where we looked at, again, trying to get the system to speed up and also be mindful of the traffic flow and what's going on in the city. I ended up having the pleasure of going to Kansas City with Dan last year, and it was really interesting when people come up and ask you about streetcar and how we were really the leader in streetcar and how we can make it relevant. And one of the things I tell them every time, it was a public-private partnership from day one, and the city really committed to making the system a system that would serve the whole inner city. So it's something that Kansas City, when they looked at their line, I had the privilege of being able to see some areas that hadn't been developed in Kansas City in the warehouse district, that they had pioneers going in like we did 25 years ago into different districts and really making those areas livable within their inner city. And if you've spent time in Kansas City, it's difficult in some of those areas, and it's an example that I'm very proud to be from the city of Portland. Our customers are also asking for increased travel time, frequency of trains, and they expect the system to grow with the city as time goes by. So we're ever mindful of looking at where we're serving the city, where we aren't serving the city. And I think Dan's going to lay out some of the plans that we've got for future line expansions. And obviously that has to be aired not only to the city council, but to the city at large. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Dan. And again, I've enjoyed working with Streetcar, and I think it's an amazing example of Portland unique.
Thanks, Jim. My name is Dan Bauer. I'm the director of Portland Streetcar Inc. Happy to be here for a third year. I just want to touch real quick on the map in front of you here today. Catherine talked a lot about the system itself, and I want to flag that if February continues the way it has for the first 3 weeks, we'll have the highest ridership month ever with Portland Streetcar. We had the highest ever in October with 15,900 riders, and we're on pace for just over 16,000 in February. And a lot of that has to do with just being able to run and working with our partners when we have bridge closures and construction projects and other major things going on in the city. We want to make sure people understand that we're carrying a lot of people, and our ability to actually operate has a lot to do with our ability to perform to our metrics. So again, as Catherine said, we had a great summer. We actually celebrated our 15-year anniversary here at Portland Streetcar and our 50 millionth rider. We hosted an art contest in our office in the Pearl District and had community members bring in streetcar-related art. And here's just a couple of examples that came in, actually some really, really nice stuff. We had the public vote on it via Twitter. And what we learned there is that is purely a popularity contest. The winner was a fantastic piece of art, but also had a very, very engaged social media following. But really nice to be able to celebrate that and be able to talk about the growth in the system over 15 years. And then we also talked about growing our community partnerships in the city. And what we've been trying to do with our sponsorship program is to not just have sponsors that are bringing in revenue for the city, but also be direct partnerships with Portland Streetcar. And last year we had two examples of those. One here that I'm showing is Wave G. They sponsored free rides on First Thursdays for Streetcar. And then we also partnered a lot with Portland Center Stage. They had a show called Streetcar Named Desire. And we were able to partner with them to get a sponsorship opportunity with the Streetcar, hand out tickets to our riders, and kind of have a play on words there with the Streetcar Named Desire out on the system for a little while. Much like Jim said, growing the community here in Portland has been mirrored nationally. The national streetcar movement is moving along very, very rapidly. Just last year, we saw openings in D.C. You see pictured here Cincinnati in September and Kansas City. Seattle and Tacoma are expanding their systems today. Do we expect Detroit to open up this coming year? Oklahoma City just broke ground on a streetcar system. So again, there's a lot happening nationally. And for me, what it is a reminder of how we have a very mature and maturing system. And we have streetcars on the road today that are now 15, 16 years old, and they are going to be in need of refurbishment and overhauls here in the next couple of years. Some of them are looking like they've been out on the system for 16 years, and we're thinking about how that's going to play out in terms of service. If we're deploying 14 of our streetcars every day, and we have to start taking some of those cars out of service to refurbish them, we're going to have a service problem. And the other thing that we're recognizing here is as the city's growing and the demand for streetcar service is growing, we need to be able to respond to that. And this chart here on the left shows an interesting stat that we published earlier this year. This is in blue, the total number of housing units built within a quarter mile of streetcar over 15 years. And in green is the average weekday ridership on the Portland Streetcar. So very, very, hang on a second. Very, very direct connection to housing, affordable housing, and investment on the streetcar system with our ridership. And again, what we know from the ridership surveys that we've done is the people who are using the system are the people who live right on the system. 66% of our trips are people coming or going from home. So interesting connection there. What concerns me is the chart on the right, which is it looks like the bar graph got cut off there, but that far right bar is the number of housing units we're expected to be built on the streetcar line in the next 2 years. We have a very, very crowded system today, particularly on the west side. If we add 6,000 housing units to the system in the next 2 years, and our ridership projections stay on this same track, we're going to have an issue with overcrowding and not being able to serve our customers. At the same time, as our city grows, we see congestion growing. We run in traffic. For the most part, we've done a very, very good job of managing that system. We have good signal timing. We've got priority where we need it. But there are places in our system, and one I'm showing here is at Northeast Grand and Davis, where every single day we get stuck in traffic trying to get on the I-84. And this is a big, big problem. I'm sorry, there seems to be a timer on my slides here. This is a major issue for us. Every day during PM peak, a $250 million investment in rail comes to a complete standstill because of our inability to manage the traffic in that 3-block section. And so this is something we're working on. We have some ideas, but it's an issue that we need to be thinking about in terms of streetcar moving forward.
Can I just address that for a second? I think one of the challenges you face is that with all the construction going on in that 3-block area, what can happen on any given day is a number of lanes of traffic are taken out of service to allow for delivery, let's say, which then impacts congestion, and you can be backed up, 6, 7, 8, 10 blocks just in an automobile. So I wonder how we can do a better job of coordinating. One thing that I notice is that sometimes there'll be a lane taken up, and I'm talking particularly around the Burnside Bridgehead. There's a lane taken away for delivery, but there are no deliveries being made. I wonder whether that might cause us to reflect on a more time-specific permit for taking out a lane. Also, when you're taking out a lane that's just ahead of the only left turn that you've got to get on the bridge, you're creating, it has massive impacts. And I know we're a growing city and there's a lot going on, but until you just said that, I'm aware of being stuck in that traffic in a car, but now I have a better sense of how it impacts your system. So perhaps perhaps we can coordinate better just in terms of taking lanes out of service.
Good. I will say over the last year, the City Council invested a little bit of money in trying to speed the streetcar up, and we were able to do quite a bit with that. Signal timing, some paint, just simple fixes. The station closures are one example where we've actually been able to realize fairly significant time savings, but we haven't been able to incorporate them into our schedules yet because there's still other places in the system where we're struggling. So over time, we're going to keep looking at that. As Catherine mentioned, we're very excited about launching HOP in partnership with TriMet and C-Tran, and specifically the reason that we should be excited about this for streetcar, a couple of reasons. One is that right now, 70% of our passengers board with a prepaid TriMet fare, and Portland Streetcar does not receive any revenue for that, which is why our fare box recovery rate and our ability to pay for operations with fares is down in the 10% rather than closer to the 20% or 25% that we'd like to get to. So our ability to use HOP to manage money behind the scenes, so when a customer is paying, it's not really their problem that the money goes to TriMet or streetcar. That's our problem. And so the HOP is going to allow us to manage that process with TriMet and with C-Tran. So when a person buys a TriMet ticket and boards a streetcar system, we're actually going to be receiving that revenue. So that's a very good benefit for us. The other is the fare capping mechanism here that allows you to buy fares, one fare at a time, up to the point where you've spent the equivalent of a monthly pass, and then you no longer get charged. So rather than laying out, say, $100 a month for a pass for TriMet, you'll pay per ride and build up to that, and so you don't have that first initial outlay at the beginning of the month. Those are both going to be great things for our community, I think.
Can I ask a question about that? If earlier you said that it's most used a lot by people going from home somewhere else, yep. And so those people are presumably right now paying for a streetcar pass only, that they don't pay the more expensive TriMet option. Will that still be the case when it's the HOP?
Well, we don't expect the makeup of tickets to change a lot. Most of those people are coming from places where they have a TriMet pass provided them by their job through their employer program, or they have a pass through school or some other institution.
Well, we have lots of seniors, though, that live downtown and might be taking the streetcar to get in particular places. Will there still be the option of using money to buy a streetcar pass?
Yeah, we'll have the cash machines and we'll have the credit card machines at the platforms. You can walk in our office today and buy with anything you want. What we see in the senior population is they're using the mobile app quite a bit, and they're buying we have a monthly pass that's available for $20, and we sell quite a few of those to seniors.
Thank you.
So just in summarizing here, I want to just talk about where we're headed for the future, and I see really 4 bodies of work in the next year. They're all somewhat related, and one of them has to do with making our existing fleet work better. We are making investments in security cameras on the streetcars. Today we do not have cameras on the cars. We are investing in putting automatic passenger counters on our entire fleet. Right now we have passenger counters on 6 of our cars. We'd like to get them on all 17. We would like to begin the conversation and really set up a timeline for buying more cars. We need these. There's no question about it. We have opportunities to do that in the near future, and we're trying to get to a place where we can present to you an option that makes a lot of sense for the community in terms of increasing our ridership and also just meeting demand, but also being able to just manage the overhauls that we talked about earlier with the trains becoming a little bit older. We're going to have to start taking trains out of service, and if we don't buy new trains, we're going to be in a bit of a pickle here. The third investment area for us is things happening in and around our system. As you said, there's a lot of construction happening. There's also a lot of road projects happening, and they're directly on our system. We need to be able to position streetcar for the future in terms of knowing where we want to be and how those construction projects are lining up. Some of that has to do with, for example, the projects happening in South Waterfront with Zidell and OHSU, the South Portal project, which we've labored over several times, ODOT's project in the Rose Quarter to widen I-5. I mean, we're talking about closing down Broadway and Weidler for 450 days during that time. We need to be able to respond to that and emerge from those projects in a way that makes sense. And part of that for me is looking at the future and trying to figure out where we want to be and how we want to use those opportunities to put our tracks in the right places so we can advance on projects. And then the fourth piece is actually thinking about expansion. We are in a position now where Metro is calling for projects for the 2040 Regional Transportation Plan. PSI and the city and TriMet have been doing a lot of work trying to prioritize those investments. And so we look forward to being able to share some of those ideas with you in the coming weeks. I can give you a quick snapshot is that we want to get more cars and have more service, and we want to have an expansion lined up that makes sense for the community. And we look forward to being able to bring that forward. So with that, I think I'll stop there and open up for any more questions.
I have a comment and a question. First, to Jim, please give your father our regards.
Oh, thank you.
So I think this is an excellent report, but I'm struck by, it occurs to me that it could be even stronger if we added a page that just showed your revenues and expenditures. And there is an indirect reference to that under your performance section. Number 4, efficient, cost-effective operations alludes to your fare box recovery targets. But I think without a pie chart showing all your revenues and your costs, it's hard to actually put that in context. Is there any reason that that's not part of your annual report right now?
No, it's the budget and the revenue sources are published in the city's adopted budget every year, so it's available. No, nothing to hide there.
Well, I would strongly recommend, just so it's a complete document, because it has useful information about economic impact and service and your strategic plan and future. But I think a self-contained document that showed your revenue sources from the city, TriMet grants, and as well as private contributions, and then some corresponding pie chart just about your overall expenses. I think that tells an important part of the story, the public-private piece, and I would urge you to consider that in your next annual report.
We can definitely provide that level of information. I think what would jump out at you if we were to have that pie chart today is that TriMet is both a significant funding partner as well as a significant expense. So this being a three-party partnership, if you will, the city actually has less operating revenue involved in managing this system.
Good. Thank you.
So I was struck when you said that the Rose Quarter, the ODOT Transportation Improvement Project would close Broadway Weidler for 450 days. That's a long time.
Allow me not to speak for ODOT, but the I-5 Rose Quarter project envisions the widening of I-5 to 3 lanes through that area. Necessitates the removal of Broadway and Weidler, the structures, for a significant period of time. And there are.
Does that mean the streetcar will not be able to operate?
There are options for us to be able to operate on a temporary basis. Yeah, but I genuinely think that the city needs to be coming out fairly strongly saying that we would need transit during that period, because the conversations are happening now.
And it's impacting, I mean, just like Dan talked about the Broadway project, I mean, closing Broadway a series of time has really impacted our ridership numbers. We start building it, we get people used to the line, and then you shut it down and divert it, and it's the reliability of the system and the predictability, so.
And I just one other question. Why does the streetcar come to a complete stop on the Broadway Bridge?
It doesn't come to a complete stop. It slows to 10 miles an hour at the 2 yellow gates and then 5 miles an hour in the middle, which seems slow. The reason is if you ride over it every time or next time you drive over, look at the center of the span and it comes together like this. As our vehicle goes over, the span literally just flaps around like this. If we hit that going too fast, it can damage our overhead wires because the bridge is not actually lined up properly. Does that make sense? So when we hit that center span going more than 5 miles an hour, there's so much give in the way the spans come together. We've in the past had issues with our pantographs not lining up properly with the overhead wire. You look baffled by it, huh?
It answers it.
Yeah, right.
I've often wondered why that was, so thank you.
Any other questions? Carla, has anyone signed up for public testimony?
I didn't have a sign-up sheet, but I know we have people who want to testify.
Okay. Anyone who didn't sign up?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Debbie Hayes.
Welcome. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Joe Walsh, represent Individuals for Justice. I love the streetcar. I really do. The last time I was on it, I took my wife Patty, and we went to the tram, and we went up the tram. We went to lunch, rode the streetcar. It was really kind of nice. There's another story I'll tell you. That when I was working at Long Beach Naval Shipyard, sometimes Patty and I, on a Friday afternoon, I would pick her up in a limo, just as a surprise, and take her to Vegas. And we would spend the weekend in Vegas. And then when we came back from Vegas, the limo would pick us up. I really loved that limo. I really liked the streetcar. However, it's expensive. And there's a couple of things that you talked about that you really should think more and more about. Because the last time I testified on the streetcar, that's what we talked about. We talked about the fact that this pass, TriMet Pass, will get me on a streetcar. Nobody knows I'm there. There's no record. You are 1/3 partners in a streetcar. You get no money for that. The only person that gets money from this pass is TriMet. So you're getting ripped off. It would be really easy to do some kind of data. When you get on the bus, they give you a little ticket. That means there's a machine, and the machine keeps track of people getting on the bus. Why can't they do that on the streetcar? Have a little box. I come in and show them my pass, and I go, boom. TriMet reimburses you something, 1/3 of the fare, whatever. We talked about this about a year ago. Why is it with government, it's always going to be good? It never is good. It's always going to be. Reminds me of a guy sitting on the edge of the bed saying, it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. And that's it. That's the end. That's the way government is. You talk about these things, but you don't put them into practice. The streetcar is not paying for itself. Let me go out on a limb on that. Streetcar is not paying for itself, and it should. Because it's nice. It's kind of nice. So, you guys have something that is nice, wonderful, warm, fuzzy, but not necessary. Because if you ride the streetcar along Rand, you will see, if you look out the left side of the streetcar, the number 6 bus runs the whole route. So you got TriMet running the same route the streetcar is running. Is that stupid? Yes, it is. Don't know how you fixed that one, but we talked about that a year ago too. And I'll bet you, if I'm still alive, I will be here looking at you, talking about the same 2 items, because you will do nothing.
Thank you, Joe.
Mr. Walsh, I think you had stepped out of the room when they discussed about the HOP pass that is going to be able to give them the streetcar money from TriMet.
I didn't understand that. Say that slow.
So you had stepped out of the room. When TriMet comes in with their new system with the HOP pass, where you're going to touch it to a receptacle, you've seen them around, that will then, you'll touch it to the receptacle in the streetcar, and then they'll be able to get some money from TriMet.
It's always they will be able to. See what I'm saying?
In the process
it's always in the future. Well, they're coming in.
It's
and they're
actually
gonna do it.
launching this year.
Why?
Okay.
After 15 years, Commissioner,
Yeah.
wouldn't you do something like this?
Okay.
You know?
Next, please state your name for the record.
I'm
Well,
Shepard.
I was answering her question. You gotta interrupt me when I'm answering her question.
Joe.
Don't call me Joe. You call me Mr. Walsh.
Okay, Mr. Walsh, your time is up.
And if a commissioner asks me a question, I will answer it.
You've
Do not
answered it?
interrupt me,
Okay.
because I'll close this down.
Please state your name for the record.
I'm Mr. Shedrick Wilkins. I want to compliment the streetcar. In fact, in 1907, there was a plaque. This is leading Portland to have a county general hospital like most major cities have. And what blocked the whole thing, there was a railroad scandal in which they put OHSU up on the hill, and there's been a movement slowly to bring it down to the waterfront, thanks to Mayor Hales. We can now have a medical school where there's surgical residency. You can be a doctor at the waterfront, go to school at PSU, go to OMSI. There's housing on the east side, a bunch of housing stuff they're making on the east side near the Lloyd Center. Just take the streetcar. I look at the streetcar more than the south side of the situation, not the north side over the Broadway, but I see a lot of stuff with this new bridge. When I go to OMSI, sometimes I stare out the window in the cafeteria and I think I'm looking at the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's like a little miniature Golden Gate Bridge, you know. And there's another thing, too, that should be complimented. Given light rail and the trolley system, in 1973 and 1979, there was an oil crisis shortage. Because of light rail and the streetcars, I think Portland could still function. The hospitals would still be open. And that's entirely electrical, which would be the power comes from the dams. So we're achieved a state where we're like a European city, where we're not, the city will not be immobilized. People get on streetcars, go and move around and stuff like that. I know the history of the Oregon Iron Works that built the streetcars. They're the first streetcars built for 50 years. The Oregon Iron Works also makes tidal wave generating equipment. It's possible someday that Oregon may have the distinction that Newport will be the first city to be, there's a tidal wave generating farm south of Newport, and the whole city will be powered lights, streetcars at Newport, and hospitals, x-ray machines will all be powered by renewable tidal energy. Think about that one. And the Oregon Iron Works is out near Clackamas on the east side, Chole's district. It's a great company. They're doing a lot of stuff with generators, streetcars, and this is a resurgence for America to actually make things again. And so this only happened in the last 5 years. And I was at OMSI when the Circle Ring was dedicated by Mayor Sam Adams, and all the city council was there. It was a great time at OMSI. I think it was 4 years ago.
Good afternoon, pardon me. I'm trying to, for the record, my name is R.A. Fonts. I share Commissioner Fish's concern with the lack of data provided in the report. Go beyond that, it's very hard to get a lot of particular data would be important for you folks and also for the general public to exercise oversight over streetcar. If you would look at your handout, the second page, I have highlighted, middle on the left side, the operating expense, total operating expense for fiscal 15, $13,500,000, fare revenues $500,000, and annual unlinked trips $4,625,000. Notice if you do the simple arithmetic that your fare revenue is not 10 or 11%, it's just 4. And it's not necessarily nefarious, it's just that the stuff that this National Transit Database is highly formatted, very strict about what goes in. No opportunity for spin. There's absolutely no fluff or anything like that. So it makes it possible to see how you're doing relative to other systems. The highlighted in blue and a line below that, operating expenses for vehicle revenue hour. Again, the NTD has $235, whereas PSI says it's $180. Nothing nefarious, they're just looking at different things. Now, using that $180, the comparison for a TriMet bus is about $100. In other words, streetcar costs more than half again as much to run as a TriMet bus. So you could get a 60-foot TriMet bus, which has more capacity than streetcar, according to recent Southwest Corridor project. It's 86 versus 81, and you could get it for less than 65% of the cost. Back to the front page. PSI has dropped important governance, expenditure, and sponsorship information from its website. It's getting worse, not better. The auditor's report that came out 2 years ago says there's a problem with transparency, with disclosing data. It is getting worse, not better. There's absolutely no discussion whatsoever anywhere on the potential effects of autonomous vehicles on streetcars' future. And I'm going to talk about it just for a second here. These things are coming. Oh boy. Look, just to wrap it up, AVs probably will take streetcars out of the commission entirely. And the reason being is because streetcars are so slow, the trips are so short, that there's just no reason for people to pay a streetcar fare. And the final two thoughts, since AVs are expected to save tens of thousands of lives every year in this country alone, any public policy which delays, restricts, or taxes their use will cost lives. And without adding a single new resident or job, we can expect AVs to dramatically increase travel demand. And this can be mitigated by sharing vehicles, sharing trips. Public policy must not discourage sharing or the use of fleet-based AVs across the internal borders of the state of Oregon. This is extremely important, and thank you.
Thank you.
You can have mine.
Yes, my name is Lightning. I represent Super.
Is Lightning your full name, or do you have a government name, your first and last?
Again, I'll do my own speech. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but it says right here you got to state your name.
I am stating my name.
Please state your name for the record.
And I'll do this again so people can hear. My name is Lightning, and I represent Super Lightning Watchdog PDX, Maltco, and PDC. And if you'd like to check my name.
Multnomah County you represent?
Madam President?
Okay, again,
I need you to stop interjecting. Are you going to give testimony on the streetcar, ma'am?
my opinions
Then I
are.
need you to take a seat back in the audience, please.
My opinions are on behalf of Super Lightning Watchdog, PDX, Maltco, and PDC. Again, very good presentation on the overall costs of what the streetcar, as far as on revenue it's generating currently, overall expenses for labor. Numbers don't look real good when you look at it from that position. Again, what I do like about streetcar is it does appear to create development along where the streetcar goes at a rapid pace, which is very clear on why people would want to do that. They have good transportation there. They want to move the people around to different locations, so it makes a lot of sense. I do want to see more affordable housings in the plan, not just a quarter, but up to 50% of affordable housing on the streetcar lanes. There's no reason why that can't be requested and implemented, and create more workforce housing where corporations can come in and pay for that cost for that type of housing. Another issue I have is that, as the gentleman referred to, is my position is on the Central City location downtown. I want to see Portland become the first vision emission zero location. To do that, streetcar obviously is going that direction. He stated bus, we go electric. Forget those diesel killing machines, get them off the roads. And again, autonomous vehicles. If we look at the electric side of this and go that direction and have a designated area downtown where we have and focus on clean air for the highest population base in that location. And again, I've wanted to have discussions with Uber, Lyft, bring them to the table and pay a fee to have that right downtown and understand this is a public safety issue. It's people's health. Many studies have been done on diesel, and any fool who thinks diesel is good for young kids to breathe shouldn't even be an elected official and should be removed out of office immediately. Any fool that supports anything to do with diesel downtown, where young kids and family breathe that all day long, is a fool and should make that change for their health. And again, like I've stated, I think streetcar has been efficient. Expanding that at this time, again, I agree with this gentleman. Don't go that direction. Too much cost, not enough return, can't cover your expenses. Doesn't make any economic sense overall. But to look at these other directions at this time, again, for clean air, zero emissions output, the protection of the young children, we need to look in those directions. Thank you.
I move to accept the report.
Second?
I think we have one more person to testify.
Oh, one more person. Okay. On this report, Dan?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah, good morning. I'm sorry about that. My name is Dan Handelman. I'm not representing any group with this testimony, which is unusual, but I just saw something in the presentation that bothered me about the Hop Pass, where you kind of have to have a smartphone in order for your multiple trips over to add up to a day pass or to add up to a monthly pass out over time. And for people who scrape together money to use the public transportation, it seems like that's kind of an elitist thing if you have to have a smartphone and be able to use digital money. And if you choose not to use digital money and don't choose to own a smartphone, it's very elitist in that sense. So I just wanted to put that forward. I also, while I'm up here, want to mention that I've been a producer at Portland Community Media for 26 years, and I appreciated their presentation earlier. We wish they had used the words Portland Community Media for their new name, but that's another issue. And my last point I want to make is that the officer upstairs who's videotaping this is, in my opinion, in a violation of Oregon Revised Statute, what used to be numbered 181.575, gathering information on people's social, religious, and political affiliations without any suspicion of reasonable criminal conduct. And I would like to find out why the officer is videotaping the audience. Thank you.
Moved and seconded. It's, roll
Sorry,
call.
who moved? Who seconded?
Commissioner Fritz moved and I seconded.
Thank you. I do a roll call.
Roll call.
Fritz. Aye. Fish.
Thank you for an excellent report. And
I'd like to speak on this.
So we
already
called
did.
the roll.
You already did.
I'd like to speak on this.
You already gave testimony on this item.
Shut this down. Sorry. You guys are not going to continue with cops out there arresting people, asshole up there videotaping people.
I call a
You wanna
recess.
go to public meeting?
roll call on the streetcar report.
I think I was in midstream. Yes, thank you for the report. I look forward to the additional information next year around revenues and expenditures. And congratulations on 2 milestones, 50 million riders, and the prospect this year of being 100% renewable energy driven. Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. Carla, could you introduce the next item?
Item 167, assess benefited properties for mast arm traffic signal and utility undergrounding improvements in the North Vancouver Avenue and Cook Street Local Improvement District.
Commissioner Saltzman?
Thank you, Madam President. This item really is all about thanking folks that we finally have this local improvement district. And I want to thank the Boise and Elliott neighborhoods for waiting 42 years for this new signal at North Vancouver and North Cook, and the left turn signal at North Vancouver and Fremont. Neighborhood advocacy made these possible, as did apparently in the dialogue we just had before we reconvened. Commissioner Fish was also an inspiration for this stoplight too. So I'll turn it over to Andrew Abbey. I did particularly want to thank Pacific Power and Red Cross, and I believe Legacy, probably also.
Legacy, and also Ben Kaiser.
And Ben Kaiser for their stepping up to make sure this happened. And with that, I'll turn it over to Andrew Abbey.
Thank you, Commissioner Saltzman. I know it's been a long day, so I'll move this through quickly. We moved this LID forward with 100% petition support, so everybody was participating in the LID voluntarily, and this is a list of all the folks that helped contribute to the LID, either financially or otherwise. In addition to the stakeholders that Commissioner Saltzman mentioned, we also had New Seasons Market who participated in the LID as well. So I particularly wanted to recognize Red Cross. They were the last partner that stepped up to help us with the LID. You can see they do a lot for our community here between disaster relief, CPR, first aid, preparedness training, blood collection, service to the armed forces, and the many things that their volunteers do in the communities. They help us with home fires, floods, wildfires, explosions like the one we recently had in Northwest Portland. And Red Cross has always been there to help people in Portland affected by disasters, big and small. And Red Cross accomplishes that through their volunteers and their donations that they get from the community. So one of the things this LID one of the objectives of this LID was to make it safer and easier for people to access the Red Cross to donate blood and go to the Red Cross headquarters with all the gridlock we had before this traffic signal went in. And this is an example on this next slide. You know, we had a fire at the Hotel Alder recently, and Red Cross stepped up and helped those residents who were displaced by that fire. And within hours, they had people there at the Hotel Alder to help some of our most vulnerable citizens in Portland. So we really appreciate the partnership with Red Cross on many facets. So as Commissioner Saltzman mentioned, there was a 42-year wait for this traffic signal to be installed. When ODOT opened up the Fremont Bridge in 1973, they didn't fund the traffic signals at the east end of the bridge, and so it was up to the city of Portland to come up with that funding. So we have gotten complaints about lack of a signal there for many, many years, and we were finally able to turn it on in 2015. There was also a fair amount of discussion at council about utility undergrounding, and we were able to, at LID formation, we were able to get that done as well. So this next slide is a picture of what Vancouver and Cook used to look like before the signal went in. So you can see that white car on the left side of the photo. You would come off of the Fremont Bridge. You'd be trying to look around cars turning onto the Fremont Bridge. You'd be trying to keep your eye out for bikes, and then you'd be trying to monitor the oncoming traffic to figure out whether they're going straight on the bridge or making a left turn. And this was one of the top 10 right angle crash locations in the city. So this was definitely a safety initiative. So this was the day that we turned on the traffic signal. We did something quirky, very Portland, but we had a little party and invited the neighborhood to show up. In the top right corner there is Ben Kaiser, who provided the largest share of the funding for the LID, and he had the honors of turning on the traffic signal after our director Treat cut the ribbon on the new traffic signal. And you can just see the looks on everybody's faces there in the lower picture, just a lot of relief that we finally had a safe way to cross that intersection. So The woman sitting there on the left on her bicycle was the very first person to ever wait for a red light at Vancouver and Cook. So we caught that moment for posterity. The woman on the right there crossing the street owns a hair salon down the street, and the new signal plus the combination of the left turn signal will really improve access to her business. I'm sorry we lost Sheila Holden from Pacific Power, but she was a great partner on this project. Pacific Power dropped all the power lines just in time for our new traffic signals to be operational, and they also removed the overhead power lines so that they wouldn't be in the way of the development that was coming in. So Williams and Fremont used to be a food desert. You had to drive a long way to get groceries, and now it's anchored by a New Seasons grocery store there on the corner.
And I was able to talk to Sheila during one of the breaks, and she expressed the regret she wasn't able to stay, and also her great appreciation for you, Andrew. So thank you very much for your coordination of this.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Fritz. And this is the second to last slide, but this shows the day that we took down the old span wire signals at Vancouver and Fremont and turned on the new signal. And the last slide here shows, thanks to the advocacy of Commissioner Fish, we were able to scrounge around and find the money to pay the difference of upgrading this signal to include a left turn signal. So you can look at all these neighborhoods here, that whether they're on transit, riding the number 24 bus line in this area, or whether they're driving, these are all the neighborhoods whose residents travel through this intersection to get to other places in the city. So we're very happy that we're able to deliver that. This is the first traffic signal project that I've managed. One of the things that I learned is if you want a left turn signal, you better budget for it up front, because you can't come in later and just hang a left turn signal on. You have to tear out half of the hardware, and what we absolutely didn't want to do is to further disrupt businesses. So to wrap this up, we started out with this LID replacing one traffic signal. It grew. We came back to council 5 times, kept expanding the partnership. We expanded it to replacing 3 traffic signals. We got 25% economies of scale on the core project, and that is money that PBOT can now use to rebuild more traffic signals in other areas of the city. So we're very pleased with the partnership, and just wanted to recognize our community partners in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
I know that we have we have Monique and Kathy here from Red Cross that just wanted to briefly speak.
So, welcome.
Thank you, Council, for having us, and thank you for your support. My name is Cassie McQueen, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of your local Red Cross. I've had the privilege of working for our organization for over 5 years now, and I'm proud to say that we are doing amazing humanitarian work in this community. The Red Cross accomplishes our services every single day, every single month, every single year. In 2016 alone, we responded to over 630 local disasters and helped over 2,700 people in need in Oregon and Southwest Washington. Now, these are big numbers, but I felt like it would be best represented in a quote from one of our most recent clients who was displaced by the Hotel Alder fire in January. His name was Eric, and this is what he said. "I have no one here in my town, no one to check on me. There is no other help. The Red Cross is my help. The compassion of volunteers is kind of rubbing off on me. This is a whole other level of love that I have learned, and I'm going to use it. I owe it to the Red Cross and myself to give back." So on behalf of Eric and myself, thank you for empowering the Red Cross to continue to do our service work here in Oregon.
And thank you, Cassie. My name is Monique Dugas, and I'm the Regional Director of Communications for the Red Cross. And thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. We are able to go to work safely, cross the street safely because of this partnership, and we do appreciate it. With all the services that the Red Cross provides in our community, we each have what we call a mission moment. And our mission moments are when we've felt the impact personally of the Red Cross in our life. And my personal mission moment came when I suffered serious injuries from a car accident and needed to have 60% of my blood replaced. And because of the Red Cross and generous donors in our community, the blood was there at the hospital when I needed it. That's my mission moment. And the Red Cross is the nation's largest blood supplier. In fact, we supplied more than 182,000 units of blood just in this area alone, so that hospitals and patients in need, just like me, were able to get the blood when they needed it. I'm sure many of you have a mission moment, and when the Red Cross services have touched you personally or someone that you love. And we would simply ask that you remember, think of the Red Cross, and that your mission moment was sponsored by the Red Cross. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for making it safer for us to get to our facility, for our workers, volunteers, and donors.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Any public testimony?
I didn't have a sign-up sheet.
Nope. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Non-emergency?
I'm sorry,
okay.
my bad.
It's a non-emergency, so if I could
Oh,
just
second, okay.
say for the benefit of our friends from the Red Cross, over the years that I've been on the council, I've watched the Red Cross step up during winter weather emergencies. I've watched them step up when people are displaced, when we've had all kinds of challenges, and we almost take for granted that the Red Cross is always there. But I also want to thank you for the work you do around blood. And because I have a rare blood type, I get a phone call almost every night at dinner. You're almost as persistent as the AARP is with the solicitations I get in the mail. But what that reminds me is that the blood is vitally important and can save a life. Your story, Monique, underscores that. And thank you for all the wonderful things the Red Cross does for our community.
Next item, please.
Item 168, reappoint Adam Green, Kate von Terstegi, and Steve Yarosh to a pool of community volunteers to be available to serve on the Police Review Board for terms to end February 21, 2020.
Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Anika Bent-Albert, Assistant Director of the Independent Police Review. I'm appearing on behalf of Director Sevier.
Rachel Mortimer, the other Assistant Director, also at Independent Police Review. Irene Konev, Community Outreach Coordinator, Independent Police Review.
So we are here this morning to seek the reappointments of our community members, Steve Yarosh, Kate Montersteg, and Adam Green to the Police Review Board. The Police Review Board is an advisory board to the Chief of Police. The Review Board makes recommendation as to findings and proposed officer discipline to the Chief of Police. Mr. Yarosh, Ms. Montersteg, and Mr. Green have previously served on the Review Board and have been recommended by the auditor for reappointment following the expiration of their terms on February 19, 2017. These members reapplied for their positions, and their reappointment was recommended by a selection committee consisting of IPR staff, member of the CRC, the Citizen Review Committee, and former Police Review Board members. If confirmed by council, their term begins today and will end February 21st on 2020. We are very grateful for their continued interest in serving on the Police Review Board, as they have been invaluable in the Police Review Board process. Thank you. Questions?
Yeah. Oh, I thought the other two might be okay.
What did you think was going to take 30 minutes?
All right.
We appreciate your succinctness. Thank you very much for your work and for your outreach.
Thank you.
Next,
Public testimony.
Is there public testimony?
We have a sign-up sheet. I'm not sure if everybody is still here. Stoffer, Jeff Singer, I believe his last name, Alex DeBlas, Mylena Petrovic, Sorian James, Charles Bridgecrane Johnson, Dan Handelman, Red Hamilton, Nita Kelly, and Jesse Sponberg.
It's my understanding that there's overflow set up in the Portland building, so it might take a few. No, there's
I understand nobody's over there
anymore. Okay, sorry. My apologies.
Welcome. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. I'm Dan Handelman. I am, in this instance, representing Portland Cop Watch, and we have been following, to the extent that we could, the exploits of the Police Review Board since it was created in 2004. It's become more and more open to the public, but there's still many problems, including that the meetings themselves of the board aren't open to the public, and the board itself never meets in a public place, so the community doesn't know who's representing them when the most serious kinds of police conduct, including the shooting that the people were trying to protest about this morning, are being discussed behind closed doors. The victims of the shootings at this point aren't even allowed, if they live, to testify, or the people who have the complaints about the police can't come to the Police Review Board. There are 5 people who were appointed to the board in February of 2014 whose terms weren't renewed. It's not clear if they dropped off or if they didn't ask to be renewed or what happened. We have no objection to the 3 people that you're contemplating putting back on. The total number, by our count, of people on the board will be 16 now, with 10 females and 6 males, and 8 of them are current or former attorneys. No offense, but that doesn't really show a broad variety of the diversity of Portland when that many attorneys are part of the same body. And the only time that more than one civilian sits on the panel, the second seat is filled by a Citizen Review Committee member, and that's something that council changed as part of the DOJ grant. So we've been advocating, and I hope you all saw the final report from John Campbell of the stakeholder group that was put together about how to change the CRC system. I'm going to hand it to the council clerk when I'm done with my testimony, but we recommended, Portland Cop Watch recommended, it got in there as a kind of a footnote, that members of the Police Review Board be asked to sit with the Citizen Review Committee to consider appeal hearings, like the one you're going to hear this afternoon, when they're backed up. The whole reason we rushed into trying to change the CRC system was that they had this huge backlog of appeals, and at the last meeting, when some of the information wasn't available to the board and they had to cancel the hearing, thank you, Carla, the director announced that this was the last appeal that they have pending. So apparently, when there were all these appeals that were stacked up all the way until May of this year, that all disappeared and there's no big rush. So we think that our idea of involving the PRB on the Citizen Review Committee is an idea that the council should consider. Just a few other things about the Police Review Board. The reports are supposed to come out twice a year. We sent an email to the Bureau on February 14 asking where the January report was. It was published on the 16th, and it was sent out for the first time on a flash alert to the media. We didn't get a individual email back from the Bureau. This is part of the communication problem we have with the Bureau, that it would have been a common courtesy to say, Mr. Handelman, thanks for reminding us, we published it now. We found out by reading in the press that it had been released. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about the Police Review Board because, as I said, very little of it is dealt with in public forum.
Thank you.
I move the report.
And
roll call.
Fritz.
Thank you very much for the report. Thank you to those volunteers serving, and thank you, Mr. Handelman, as usual, for your observations. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman. Aye. Udaly.
Aye. I keep turning.
Do you want me to read these two together?
Yes, please.
Item 169, improve land use and other city regulations through the Regulatory Improvement Code Amendment Package 8, technical amendments. And 170, improve city tree regulations through the Regulatory Improvement Code Amendment Package 8, technical amendments.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Sandra Wood. I'm with the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. Thank you for having us again. We were here last Wednesday with the hearing for the Regulatory Improvement Code Amendment Package number 8, and there were 7 amendments that were proposed, and they were moved and seconded last week, and we've had a written testimony open for another week on those amendments. And if I may recommend, would you like me to walk you through those? Would that be an easier way to go about this? Okay, great. You should have 2 pieces of information in front of you. One is a memo from Mayor Wheeler to city commissioners dated February 6th. And the other one is three more amendments. So Mayor Wheeler's amendment included 4 amendments that, as I said, were moved and seconded last week. And so I believe the plan was that we vote on these amendments today, on all 7 of them, and then you will do the second reading next week. That was my understanding. So starting with the mayor's amendment, so we need to call the roll, Carla. So we'll be calling 7 rolls. Yeah, we're ready? Okay, so the first amendment number 1 is to item number 3 about regular lot lines.
Roll call on number 1.
And that's on page 95 of the handout you just
So
gave.
we're going
Yes,
to
right.
do each of them individually?
Individually
Oh,
is what I
okay.
understand we need to
All
do because
right.
they were all moved individually.
I see, okay. Roll call.
Roll call on number 1. Fritz.
This is to make it easier to do lot lines, and it's almost a technical fix. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
Right. Amendment number 2 is item 33, which has to do with the definitions of stream on page 113 of the document. And basically, it removes the amendment to the stream definition in the zoning code.
Roll call.
Fritz.
And just to clarify, under the hazardous substance, which is underlined in front of that, that's because we're also changing hazardous substances, but nobody had an amendment on that one. Is that correct? On page 113.
Double check that.
I think, again, those...
So that references the list of lists, which is a federal document, and that was updated, and the old reference was still in the code. So
Yes, so
really
this is
just-
another technical part of it, right? So, and that's we've already gotten the main thing. So now we're talking about redefining Seaboard Spring to be an area where groundwater is discharged onto the land surface, creating either saturated soil conditions or visible flow at the land surface. And I vote aye.
Aye.
Fish. Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
Great. The amendment 3 is about Title 11. Title 11 is the tree code, and the city auditor identified several minor typos and errors. So this is a list of errata that she wanted to have corrected during this process.
Roll call.
Fritz.
Very much appreciate the council and the staff working on some of the tree issues. Obviously, we've got many more to go. This is a start. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
Amendment 4, and the final one in the mayor's memo, is regarding inclusionary housing parking. In the vote that council did in December, I guess it was, what council intended was to waive the parking requirements for projects that provided on-site or off-site affordable housing, but not to waive the parking requirements for projects that paid a fee in lieu. I believe Commissioner Fish, this was your amendment at that time. The code amendment it wasn't aligned with that intent, and so this amendment is technical to bring it into alignment with council's intent.
So to be clear, this would have the effect of discouraging, in effect, someone to do a fee in lieu because they would not be getting out from under the minimum parking requirement.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Fritz.
Well, thanks to everybody for working on this. This is what we came to in late last year. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
Great. Now moving on to the other document that you have. Amendment 5 was introduced by Commissioner Saltzman and seconded by Commissioner Fritz last week. It's on page 115 of the document. This changes the measurements chapter and changes how Florida area ratio is measured. The Planning and Sustainability Commission's recommendation is to measure Florida area ratio based on post-dedication site area, so a smaller site area after land has been dedicated. Commissioner Saltzman's amendment would measure it pre-dedication, prior to the applicant dedicating public right-of-way on a street that's been widened.
So just, I missed this discussion. I might have missed this discussion last week. What's the net effect of that?
The net effect is, so the way the process works is an applicant comes in with a building permit, and all the service bureaus are reviewing it, and PBOT would take a look at it and ask the applicant for dedication of right-of-way. The request, and I believe, is that penalizes the applicant because then it makes the site area smaller, and thus they would lose Florida area ratio. So this amendment ensures that they can count that site area before the dedication occurs towards their Florida area ratio calculations.
For how long have we been using the current rule?
For as long as we've had zoning, since 1924.
This has the net effect of allowing more development on a site, not massively more. It means that they're not getting penalised for giving a larger right-of-way, which could include wider sidewalks or some of the other things that we require now that we didn't necessarily require 20, 30 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call?
Thank you to Commissioner Salzman, Bureau of Planning staff and Bureau of Development Services, as well as Transportation for figuring out this one. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
Thank you. So then Amendment 6 was introduced by Commissioner Udaly last week, or your staff, and this has to do with a correction to the design review thresholds. As you can see, the design review threshold table is 2 pages long, and there was a circumstance where a property, and the testimony last week was Cully, where the old Sugar Shack property is, that has a design overlay. It is not in a design district, which is a subset, and I won't get into that. But there, in the table, inadvertently sends that property through a type 3 design review instead of a type 2 design review, which is always the intent outside of Central City for a project of that size to go through a type 2.
Any
They
questions?
tried to sneak this by Eagle Eye Udaly. I'm glad she caught this.
Well, I do have to give a little credit to my Chief of Staff, Marshall Runkle, for that one. Roll call?
Fritz.
Good spot. For those who weren't watching last week, I was very impressed when staff knew the answer to why do we have this number, which is 2,188,650. And the answer was it started off as a more rational and rounded number, but then it gets changed by inflation each year. So it'll continue to look.
March 1st, it'll change.
Yes. So thank you for explaining that. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye.
And our final amendment is Amendment 7 that was introduced by Commissioner Fritz last week and moved.
And actually, I would like to amend my amendment, if that's all right with everybody. I had offered a rather convoluted suggestion, which is down here in your packet, about when we can extend members' terms because there's a vacancy. After due consideration, I believe it would be better to just remove the planning sustainability's suggestion of by right giving members another year on a commission if the commissioner, i.e. me or whoever, has not been able to appoint a new member. So I withdraw the amendment you have before you, and I would strike, well, we don't have the other one.
Right, so I think what you would do is probably move to amend the recommended draft to delete the amendments to this section, which is 33-710-030.
Can you identify what number that would have been? I'm sorry about this.
What item number it is?
Yeah. So essentially, the planning sustainability staff colleagues had said, let's allow a member who should be termed out to serve another term if there's nobody ready to fill the vacancy. With 600,000 people in the city, I think if we start early enough, the council members who are making those advisory recommendations to the mayor ought to be able to find somebody when there's an expected vacancy due to a term limit.
So your motion is to move to delete the amendments to item number 15.
15. Yes, I withdraw my previous ones and I move to delete amendment 15.
So
would you second it for?
I'll second it for discussion. So what are the commissions, committees, and boards provided under this chapter?
Yep, so this is the zoning code. So the bodies that are listed in the zoning code are the Hearings Officer, the Planning and Sustainability Commission, the Design Commission, Historic Landmarks Commission, Adjustment Committee. I believe that's it.
Okay, I wanted to clarify that because we'll be having a
Yes.
discussion at council about boards and commissions and updating our rules generally. And so this is very specific to, and
Those
essentially
five.
those bodies.
Those bodies
Thank
only.
you.
Any further question or comment? Okay, roll call.
Fritz?
Well, thank you, Commissioner Fitch. That's another helpful clarification because you are in the process of looking at it. So we shouldn't be changing the rules for the specific committees and boards that Ms. Wood mentioned until we've done that overall look. So I vote aye on my amendment.
Fish?
Aye.
Saltzman?
Aye.
Udaly?
Aye. Next,
That was a motion and a vote on, you motion, there was a first and a second on the amendment and then a vote on the amendment. I just want to make sure I'm clear.
That's
Okay,
correct.
Okay.
And so now we need we need to pass the whole packet, the recap 8 recommended draft as amended that you just
Okay.
amended to second reading next week.
okay. Roll call? Is
No,
that-
No roll call.
We just say.
You just say that.
Oh, okay, we're moving it to second week. My first time doing this. Thank you
That's
for
right.
bearing with us.
Great.
Thank you very much to staff for sitting here all morning or in and out all morning, and then for your wonderful clarity in the presentation.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have to set a time, right, Lauren?
No, you do not.
Thank you.
Right, on to the
Next item.
item pulled from consent.
Huh?
I think the next one is, are we going to do the item pulled from consent?
Oh,
Let's do that. We
Okay.
we said we'd put that at the end.
yeah.
Why, is that too teed up?
Mr. Lightning and Mr. Walsh pulled that one. I think they're both gone. Do you want to do 171 then, or hold till the end,
Let's go to the regular agenda.
regular agenda then?
Regular agenda.
Item 178, apply for and accept a grant in the amount of $45,000 and appropriate $22,500 for fiscal year 2016-17 from the Oregon Department of Transportation Traffic Safety Division fiscal year 2017 Safety Belt Grant Program for sworn personnel overtime reimbursement. They may not have been sure what time to be here.
Looks like a fairly straightforward grant.
Yeah.
Should we ask if there's any public testimony?
I didn't have a sign-up sheet. Does anyone want to testify to this?
Any public testimony on applying for and accepting a grant?
Roll call.
We take a roll call, please.
Fritz.
It's an emergency item. Obviously, it's a good thing to be getting money for these kinds of important duties. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. All right, next item.
179, accept bid of Raymore Construction, Inc. for the Lentz Park Playground Improvements Project for $843,821.
Christine Moody is supposed to be here.
Okay.
So do you want to wait? Christine, it's really a procurement item, and Parks is working with Christine Moody.
We could go
Perhaps
through.
we could start with your presentation, and then as Ms. Moody gets here, we can do the more formal part. Thank you.
Sure.
And so I'm proud to announce Lauren Maguire from Portland Parks and Recreation to give a very short presentation on this project.
Hello, members of council. As Commissioner Fritz said, I'm Lauren Maguire, Parks Development Program Manager.
Lauren, can you get closer to the mic there?
Oh, sure.
One more challenge.
There we go. Should be taller, too.
And here's Ms. Moody as well.
Lauren Maguire. Oh, good. Do you want to start?
Thanks for rushing down. You can catch your breath.
Christine Moody, Procurement Services. You have before you the procurement report recommending a contract award to Raymore Construction. The engineer's estimate on this project was $907,128, with a confidence level of medium. On January 5th, 2017, 3 bids were received, and Raymore Construction is the low bidder at $843,821, which is 7.5% under the engineer's estimate. Portland Parks and Recreation has reviewed the bid items and accepts the proposed pricing as good. The city put forward an aspirational goal for DMW ESB subcontractor and supplier utilization at 20% of the hard construction costs for this project. Raymore Construction identified 5 divisions of work for DMW ESB opportunities with subcontracting participation at 10.1%, with work being performed in survey, disposal, and playground equipment installation. Raymore Construction is a certified minority firm, so the combined prime and subcontracting participation on this project is at 85.4%. I wanted to note to council that we just opened up Tier 4 of the Prime Contractor Development Program, in which the city-owned construction projects up to $1 million are bid to contractors in the program. As part of the social equity contracting strategy, this is the first time ever that projects of this size have been bid to minority and women contractors as part of our program. This is also the first project that we have bid in. We just opened the tier a couple months ago, and so this is the first project that you will see coming forward to you. I will turn this over to Lauren for more information about the project.
Thank you. Again, Lauren McGuire, Development Program Manager for Portland Parks. We're here today to tell you a little bit about the Lentz project itself, too. Lentz Park is located at 4700 Southeast 88th, just west of I-205. The bond repair project for Lentz Park is made possible through the support of the Portland community, as is funded by the 2014 Parks Replacement Bond. We're very grateful that the Portlanders have historically helped the city repair and maintain our much-loved parks, from the very first levy of the historical record in 1901 to the work we're talking about today. In November of 2014, voters passed a $68 million bond measure to address the critical needs without increasing tax rates, because the 2014 bond replaced an expiring bond. The bond funding goes towards parks' most urgent needs, like replacing failing playgrounds, pools, and other facilities. The 7 repair priority areas that we identified as part of the bond effort were playgrounds, trails and bridges, pools, facilities to protect workers, Pioneer Courthouse Square repairs, accessibility repairs, and restroom and other urgent repairs. Portland's playgrounds, of course, are one of our most popular attractions. The bond language promised in this category that we would do at least $5 million worth of work, and we would do 10 to 20 play areas. So far in phase 1, we will be renovating 7 playgrounds, and we'll have spent $9.7 million. So Lentz Park, the renovation project today, will update the play area with safe and imaginative play opportunities, replacing outdated equipment from the 1970s. It will also add inclusive play features like swings, slides, boulder transfer opportunities, and music and sensory elements. It will add rubberized and synthetic safety surfacing. It will improve the circulation between the upper and lower levels of play areas. It will replace the pavement serving the play area and restroom to make it more ADA accessible, and will also improve an existing pathway that goes from the parking area to the play area and provide ADA accessible parking. We'll also be replacing some picnic tables, benches, and a drinking fountain, and making sure that those are all ADA accessible as well. The timeline is as follows. We're in for permits since June. We're here today to accept the bid from Raymore Construction, and that's, as Christine said, $843,821. We anticipate we'll start in the spring, and we hope to be finished by fall of 2017. On your screen right now is a list of projects that we're substantially finished with the construction of. So we had Grant Pool, Part 1, Matt Dishman Pool and Spa, Wilkes Lou, Park Lane Lou, Selwood Pool Roof House, and then under construction shortly will be the Argay Tennis Courts, the Cooch Park Playground, Forest Park Bridges, Grant Pool Part 2, the North Park Playground, Rickey Field renovation, Ventura Park Playground in Lou, and the Washington Park Rose Garden. So that concludes the presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
questions? We do a roll call on that? Do we have anyone signed up to give testimony?
No, we do not. No one signed up.
Okay.
Did you want to talk, Mr. Wilkins? Mr. Wilkins would like to speak on this item.
Okay. Because we are 2 hours behind, I'm going to ask you to limit your testimony to 2 minutes.
I can make it 2 minutes.
Okay. Or less. Feel free to do less.
Or less. On Sunday, I went to the Lentz Baptist Church, and when I went into the church, it looks very bleak. People are very depressed. They want to have faith in something. That area needs a lot of attention.
Thank you.
I move the report.
Second.
Roll call.
Fritz.
Well, congratulations, Ms. Moody, for all the work that you've been doing regarding encouraging and helping minority businesses to succeed in our city. I'm very pleased that it's the first one is a Parks partnership. Well done all around, and I'm very happy that all these improvements are going to be made in a wonderful area of the city that is just waiting to continue growing and being even more wonderful. Aye.
Fish.
Congratulations, Commissioner Fritz, who led the Parks Bond effort, Christine for this innovation, and look forward to being there for the ribbon cutting. Aye.
Saltzman.
Well, it's good news on both the procurement front in terms of our prime contractor development company, or program, excuse me, and also for Lentz Park, very good improvements coming. Thank you. Aye.
Udaly.
Nice work, everyone. Aye. Next item.
Item 180, approve the designation of 7 trees as City of Portland heritage trees and remove the heritage tree designation from 5 trees.
Commissioner Fritz.
There's a second reading, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions? So do a roll call in the second reading. Roll call, please.
Fritz.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, especially Commissioner Saltzman. I really enjoy watching how much you enjoy and get very interested in this, and I am too. Let's all work on getting more heritage trees designated. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Well, apparently there isn't a single heritage tree designated in my neighborhood, so I will be working on that. Aye. Next item.
181, authorize a contract with Parametrics, Inc. for professional services for the Broadway and 94th Pump Station Upgrade Project number E10783 in the amount of $423,629.
Great. This is a second reading, so we just do roll call.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. Next item, please.
182, authorize a contract with the lowest responsible bidder for construction of the Woodlawn King Street Sewer Rehabilitation Project number E10331 for $4,700,000.
All right. This is also a second reading. Roll call, please.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. Next item, please.
Item 183, authorize a contract with CH2M Hill Engineers, Inc. for professional services for the Columbia Boulevard Wastewater Treatment Plant Outfall 3 improvements for $674,612, project number E06923.
Second reading. Roll call, please.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Just to note that with the record rains, we've had record flow at Columbia Boulevard Wastewater Treatment Plant. So I want to thank all the folks who are working hard to keep our systems running in spite of the torrential rains. Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. Next item, please.
Item 184, authorize a contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the construction of the Middle Hillsdale Rainfall Derived Inflow and Infiltration Pilot Project Laterals, project number E10617, for an estimated cost of $3,400,000.
That was quite a mouthful. Roll call, please.
Fritz.
Middle Hillsdale continues to be one of my favorite titles of any part of the city. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. Next item, please.
185, authorize a contract with Brown and Caldwell for professional services in development of the Bureau of Environmental Services Resiliency Master Plan for an estimated cost of $499,299.
Roll call.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. Next item, please.
186, vacate a portion of Multnomah County Public Road known as the Hawthorne Bridge West Approach Ramp pursuant to ORS 368.2613.
Commissioner Saltzman?
Thank you, Madam President. I will just say that this vacation is critically important to Multnomah County and its efforts to construct a new courthouse. And I'll turn it over to Dee Walker if you had anything you want to add. Or
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Dee Walker with Right-of-Way Acquisition for the Bureau of Transportation. So before you is a resolution to vacate the west approach ramp of the Hawthorne Bridge. Basically, to summarize real quickly, last summer, Multnomah County took a resolution through their Board of Commissioners to vacate the ramp in support of the new county courthouse. The ramp, which was actually removed last week, and the land is owned in fee title by Multnomah County. It was never dedicated as public right-of-way, but because of the use, that there was kind of a layer of transportation use with the public using it for so many decades. And part of ORS 368.361, this resolution is before you for the city to remove its interest in that property. And in order for Multnomah County's vacation to be effective, this also on the city side needs to happen. I would like to draw your attention to the community impacts and community involvement section of the impact statement. It states that the city auditor published and posted the notice. This was stated in error. After speaking with the city attorney's office and the auditor's office, there is no statutory requirement to do this. And since the county held its own open house for the public, as well as having a public website based solely for the courthouse, the auditor's office, it was their decision. They decided not to publish the hearing and post it since it wasn't necessary. Commissioner Fritz, I know that you were a little, had questions over how it affects the pedestrian and cyclists, and I got your answers for you. So I spoke with Transportation Planning, and you'll be happy to know that just recently it was approved to put in a ped and bicycle crossing at Jefferson and NATO. This actually takes care of the movement for the old ramp, and so now actually people aren't going to have to go out of their way at all because they'll be able to cross the street and use the other ramp on the east side. So it was great timing, so I was happy to be able to report that back to you.
Thank you for finding that out. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. That's all I have, so if you have any other questions.
Well, just, I was looking at the packet. Have we received any objections to this application?
No, none. Mm-mm.
Any public testimony on this?
I believe anybody signed up?
No? So we go to a vote?
Motion to, it's a resolution, I'm sorry.
It's a resolution, right?
It is a resolution, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Teamwork here.
Fritz.
Thank you very much. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Saltzman.
thank you, Ms. Walker, for your report and for finding out that additional information for Commissioner Fritz. And this is, as I said at my outset, this is vitally important for the county to build a new courthouse, which will serve all of us very well. Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. Okay, now
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we do the item that was pulled from the consent agenda next?
We have a 4/5 item.
Oh,
The Ellen's coming down from the city attorney's office now, so you could do the item that was pulled first, and then she'll be here for the 4/5, if that works.
Certainly. Item 171, appoint 25 members to the new Portlander Policy Commission for 2- and 3-year terms.
Do we know who pulled this item?
Mr. Lightning and Mr. Walsh both pulled it.
Neither of them are here, right? This was something that Commissioner Daly and I worked on, I before the new year and she afterwards, so it's a relatively routine appointment, except it's not because it's the new New Portlanders Policy Commission, which is the first time it's getting established after being supported by council last year.
So
Right, so I guess I move the report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
So just a question, it says in my notes that the recommended appointments are for 2 or 3 year terms, and the committee will determine term length. What does that mean?
We took our cue from you, Commissioner Fish, when you formed the Portland Utility Board, that we would leave it up to the Commission to decide who was going to get the initial longer or shorter terms, because we don't want, in the future, we don't want everybody terming out at the same time.
I see. And then any vacancies that arise in the future would be filled by the council?
Correct. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're approving the Commission for right now, following on from the ordinance that we passed before. But it will run the same process that all of our other boards and commissions do.
Any other questions or comments? We do a roll call?
Did I move the report?
You moved it.
You did,
Commissioner
and-
Salzman
Yeah,
seconded.
yeah.
Thank you. Fritz. Very exciting, Commissioner Udaly. Thank you. Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Salzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Aye. And our last remaining item is the four-fifths agenda item. Is Ellen here? Fantastic.
Item 186-1, authorize the city attorney to appear amicus curiae supporting gender equality on behalf of City of Portland and Portland Police Chief.
So, Ellen Osenak, I am a senior deputy city attorney in your city attorney's office. I'd like first to thank you all for putting this on the agenda with such late notice. The briefing schedule in the case that we're asking you all to authorize us to appear as amicus curiae is moving quickly, and the folks that had asked us to sign on as amicus need to get their filings in place by February 27th, and so hence the rush today. The resolution and its announcement was sent out to a small but wide listserv, and so I wanted to acknowledge for you all today that I did receive feedback, as I believe you all did, in support of the resolution, and I also wanted to let you know that several folks had indicated that they were watching streaming today, so there are likely people that are here participating remotely to watch this. So I think the resolution speaks for itself. I know that you all have had a long day, so I will just briefly summarize the resolution. There's a case currently pending before the Supreme Court in which a transgender boy was denied access to the bathroom facility in his school that corresponded to his gender identity. It's an important case because it involves the application of Title IX, and the Obama administration had sent guidance to schools throughout our nation saying that they believed that there is a constitutional right to access facilities consistent with one's gender identity, and that is what is being currently litigated before the Supreme Court. I also wanted to note that the Trump administration has signaled its intent within the coming weeks to rescind that particular interpretation of Title IX. So I think that adds some importance and urgency to the resolution that you all are considering here today. I would also like to note that this resolution that would authorize the city attorney to appear on your behalf as the city is consistent and amplifies the work that this commission and the city has done over the years to support gender equality, including the work that I know was amplified and even spearheaded by Commissioner Fish with regard to all user bathrooms. So it is certainly consistent with city policy. And then as the resolution states, Chief Mike Marshman, who was not able to be here but wished to testify, is also seeking your permission to join another important brief on behalf of law enforcement nationwide, police chiefs and other law enforcement leaders to submit a brief that provides important context about the fears and myths around all user bathrooms, and to put important context that the crime that certain people fear and which amicus testifying on behalf of the county and against access for
equal access for gender identity, there were two public safety professionals that submitted an affidavit saying that there was an undue public safety risk posed by these type of policies. And so the brief that Chief Marshman would like to sign on to is an important counterpoint to that brief and is supported already by many chiefs nationwide and provides that really important factual context that, in fact, these equality access initiatives promote public safety and, in fact, do not undermine public safety efforts to hold folks accountable who are committing primarily what has been feared as predatory sexual offenses. That is not the experience of law enforcement here or, in fact, nationwide, that it creates an undue safety risk. So,
Ellen, I have just a couple questions, and I'm going to support this. So the case that we would be filing a friend of the court brief in is going to the United States Supreme Court?
Yes.
And is the issue that the court would then have the option of either deciding a constitutional or a statutory question?
That's correct.
And could be, so one argument is that Title IX interpreted the way we view it provides this right, or alternatively the court could, unlikely with this court, but a Supreme Court could clarify the scope of a constitutional right.
That's correct.
And good, thank you.
Any further comments or questions? I've never had a 4/5 agenda item. Do we take public comment? Any public comment on this item?
I'll say this fast. I have talked about this issue in front of
Please state your name for the record.
Cedric Wilkins, Mayor Hales, about the fact I have to clean bathrooms at a Target store. I suggested one time that I dress up like a woman and clean the bathrooms, and that was refused. There is this issue about gender equality, but there are men who would go in the bathrooms and spy on women. And the decision by my store was I cannot do that. I tend to agree with the president on this. It's fine that public buildings and schools have a third bathroom. But to make this kind of like a general thing, I'm sorry to say, it's one of the reasons why probably Trump was elected.
All right. Let's take a vote.
Fritz. Thank you, Ms. Osnert, for all your work on this, and I'm very proud to be joining this suit. Aye.
Well, we're going to be busy this year following Friends of the Court briefs and a host of legal proceedings, actions challenging executive orders or joining with other parties, cities, and other parties upholding basic rights in this country. It's going to put a lot of strains on our crack legal team, but I appreciate that they have been and are rising to the occasion. I will preview from my colleagues just on the question of all-user restrooms. The city has had a successful transition with 600 single-stall restrooms being converted to all-user. Commissioner Fritz was a key partner in making this happen, and it has gone very smoothly. The next phase of this will be the city will issue a challenge to the private sector to match some goals that we're going to establish. We will not be mandating this. We will be encouraging people to join us. And I'm happy to report that the initial reaction we've received from business and trade associations is extremely positive. And if the next time you are in, your favorite coffee bar, restaurant, bookstore, whatever, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how many single-stall restrooms have already been converted to all-user based on the common sense principle that they are now open to more people and provide more options to their customers. So thank you, Ellen. I'm pleased to support this application. Aye.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Udaly.
Very pleased that our city can lend any kind of support to this hopefully historic Supreme Court ruling. Aye. So with that, we are adjourned until 2.
Well done.